Hello. The purpose of this instructional video is to show you how to use Logger Pro to collect data from an actual video of an experiment that you will do and take a movie of inside the physics classroom. So what we're looking at right now is actually the final outcome for this instructional video, and by the time you've actually watched all of this video, you should be able to have taken the video that I've gone and provided you with, set it up and taken measurements from that video and reproduced what you can see right now on the screen. So this is technically the final outcome. So if we're looking at Logger Pro for data collection, then you can see that there are three things. The first thing we've got here is got a movie of me playing around with a car at an angle. We've got a data set to the left hand side, and then that data set has produced this very nice visual graph where time is on the x-axis and distance, meters, is on the y-axis. If we just zoom in for a moment on the video. Okay, now you can see in this video that there's a green line and a yellow axis line that I'll talk about later, and you'll see there are blue dots. Now if I rewind this video by hitting the button down in the bottom left corner, you should see that my video goes back to the start. Now if I click play, you'll see that the blue dots that have been made by me are following the motion of the car down the ramp, and each of those blue dots is progressively getting further than the last dot, which basically means that the car is undergoing acceleration. And what we end up with is this nice shaped graph that is a curve like this. So this is the outcome. So what we need to do is we need to actually start at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of Logger Pro. If you just give me a second, I'm going to get out of Logger Pro. I'm going to quit this. I'm not going to save it. And what I've got is, I'll get out of this. I've got my desktop again. So I'm going to start off by finding Logger Pro. I'm going to get Logger Pro, I'm going to open it, and then hopefully what should happen is I'm left with I arrive at a blank template. There's a data set with no data in there, and there's a graph with no graph. So the first thing I've got to do is I've got to insert a movie. Now the movie that you will use to start off with is the movie that I've just gone and shown you, which you will be able to find on Haiku. So the first thing you actually need to do is get the movie from Haiku and save it onto your desktop. Now once you've done that, you can then go and insert a movie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top where it says insert. I'm going to go and find the movie, and I'm going to get this from my desktop. Now for me, I've actually got it under a file called Logger Pro, and then I'll insert my trolley, which is the ramp one, and if I click open, hopefully this is what we find. We've now got a movie that has no yellow or green lines or blue dots on, and if I play this movie, exactly the same movie but with no data collection. So now what we need to do is we need to start data collecting using that movie. So I'm going to rewind it back to the beginning using the rewind button at the bottom, and the first thing I need to do is I actually need to find the point where the trolley starts to roll on its own. At the moment I'm holding the trolley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow this, or I'm going to go by frame until I can find just where I'm going to be releasing the trolley, and hopefully it's just about there. If I go back, I'm holding it here, so I'm going to say that's my starting position. Now what I need to do is I need to put some information onto this video. So I'm now going to click this button down in the bottom right corner, and you should see that I now get some tool or a toolbar coming to the right of the video. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to calibrate the video. I'm going to set a scale. I've got to tell Logger Pro how big my video is. So to set a scale, I'm going to actually use the ruler, and I know the ruler is 1 meter and 20 centimeters. So if I do this, I know it's in meters, and I'm now going to set this to 1.20 meters. And click OK, and that's fine. The second thing I need to do is to give an origin for my movie. So I need to tell the movie, or I need to tell Logger Pro where I'm taking my data from, or where my starting point. To do this, I'm going to go to my Axis or Set Origin tab. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click this anywhere on the movie. Now I want it to be at the center of the trolley, but I also want the X-axis to be pointing down the ramp. So I'm now going to put my X-axis down the ramp. I'm going to set it to something like that. I'm going to use that. Okay, so now I've got my trolley origin pointing down the ramp, and now I'm ready to take data points. To take data points, I click the red spot, which means add a point. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking data points for every step or every frame that the trolley starts to move down the ramp. And what I'm going to try and do is, as best as possible, aim for the center of the trolley each time. Now you should be able to see two things. To the left of the screen, data points are being added into the table, and you should see that just behind my video, a graph is now being made where points are being put along. So I'm going to carry on doing this until I get to the end. So I've got a few more points, but as I mentioned before, you should be able to see that the points are becoming progressively further apart. Now you can just see that I'm going to grab this trolley. So I need to stop collecting data points at the time, or at the point where my hand hits the trolley. So I'm going to stop collecting data points there, which isn't the end of the movie, but now I've got something like, what, maybe 30 or so data points. Once you've gone and got the data points, you need to go back up to this tool, select point, and click on it, which means that you're now not collecting any more data points. So what I'm now going to do is I've actually gone and used the movie to collect data points, and I don't actually need the movie anymore, because now if I narrow it down, you should be able to see, if I just move this into some acceptable position, that I've now got data points, and I've now got a graph. Now I've got two axes on my Y graph, and I'm actually only interested in one of them. You've got to remember that the trolley is moving down in the X-axis along that ramp due to this origin. So I'm not actually interested in my Y values, and my Y values, which are the blue ones, the blue dots down here, actually haven't moved because the trolley hasn't moved in the Y-axis, it's only moved in the X-axis that I've set up. So I'm going to go and change this just for my X-axis. Now my movie is still here, it's just now my movie is now gone behind, and I can just remove it if I want to. I've actually finished with the movie, so it's not that important, but yeah, I've got both of them on the screen. I can play around with that. The last thing I'm going to mention before I stop this tutorial is that when I've taken the movie, and I'm just going to zoom up on this again, you can see that my trolley is moving down in the positive X axis. So when you actually physically take a movie that you're going to use in Logger Pro, it's easier if you set the movie up to start off with so that you're collecting the data in either the positive X or the positive Y axis. Okay, and then you'll get a graph that's going to start to increase in a normal graph way that you would expect. I could do this with having the cart going the other way, but instead of the line curving up, the line would curve down because I'd be going in the negative X-axis. That's just a final point. Okay, now what you need to do is go and open up Logger Pro, insert the movie, and do exactly what I did and reproduce exactly the same graph with the same movie with this handsome chap in the background who took the movie for you. Before I finish, I'd just like to acknowledge Nick Nicholas in my grade 11 class, who actually helped me take this movie. He's the guy who actually took the screen recording whilst I was in it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.